What's up, everybody? Welcome back. I've had a little bit of a vacation time off. Gonna get after it. Got some PCGS back. I did ship a bunch of stuff to PMG, so hopefully I'll be able to show that stuff to you guys. It's actually, we don't own all of it, but we would love to show it to you, so I just have to get the permission from the owner. These are two bulk orders that were recently posted. I probably have a dozen more orders at PCGS. And then I have had some PMG stuff come back, mostly small orders, 3 or 4 notes and customer stuff. So I don't necessarily always try to show that. I try to do more bulk orders just because it's easier for me to show you, like, flip through bulk really quick and talk about some notes, make a video. A couple big shows coming up. We're gonna have a St. Louis show coming up here in like a week, and then A&A in Chicago. I hope y'all, if you can, I hope y'all attend, or some of you can attend. It's probably the largest show in the United States next to the Fun Show. In comparison to the Fun Show, I think the Fun Show is just a little bit better of a show as far as just attendance and sales. But both really good shows. If you get an opportunity, you should try to make it out. So there's a nice mix of notes in here. I'll try to get them in the... I don't think this tablet does... Oh, it does do screen... Well, hot darn. Learn something new every day. 1862 Confederate. The green overprint series is extremely tough. Most all of them always have edge issues or damage, so to get a nice circulated piece with good quality overprints, tough, you're always going to see a little bit of... The paper is different on these, so you're always going to see a little bit of edge shattering on them. This is a solid fine 15. Here, this is more of what I'm talking about. Here's the 2. It did get a details grade. There's a little bit of staining here, and there's an edge chip there. And they're going to call it tape repaired edge tear. And if you look, it's right there. However, from the face of the note, it's not as noticeable. So, still a very good note. Tough, like I said, it's tough to get the green overprint. $10 Confederate. This probably is not our note. Oh. Has contemporary annotations on the back. It's soldier signed, so that's a unique piece. Not something you see very often. Here's a Boston Star note. I need to try to back my game up just a minute. VG10 details. This note was severed and reattached. If you go through the Heritage Archives, you can find this note in a PMG holder, and it has tape. It was covered in nasty brown tape, so the tape had been removed and then a more contemporary attachment replaced. So, Exchange Bank, Murfreesboro, Tennessee. I've actually been to this town quite a few times. A little bit of edge tattering. They call it minor edge damage. Doesn't necessarily go up into the design, but it is part of the salvage. So here's an extremely scarce note. International Bank of Canada, Toronto, 1, blue overprint, graded VF25. Very nice note. That'll probably head to auction. I'm gonna, if I had to guess. Here's just a T68 and 45Q, very common note. There's another T68. This one's VF30. Nice red. People like them when they're cherry red. Here's a T67 and VF35. Not much color on the face. That's kind of how they come on some PF numbers. There's a 5, really good color. XF4. Oh, this is neat. Gunther's Candy. When in Chicago, buy Gunther's Candy and be happy. So that's kind of neat. Gunther's Candy. Another T69 and 35Q. Like I said, overprint notes are tough. This one still has a lot of life left in it, and it does have no comment. So if you compare these two notes, this one is actually a little bit nicer quality for printing and color, but they net it down because of the minor issues. So this note probably would have graded VF20, but netted down 1 point because of the issues. A lot of times people in the currency world say that silent net isn't a thing. Silent net is a thing. I've seen a lot of notes that probably should have graded like VF30 with minor comment, but they'll grade them like VF20. So here's the same note without the overprint. So it's a T42 instead of a 43, 1862. Just a nice circulated example. Here's a sweet potato dinner note, VF30. Minor staining through here. Just sometimes it is what it is. You know, with Confederates, it is what it is. You don't. So it's hard to be picky on some types. There's a nice T66 and 45 with the Confederate Treasury stamp right here. No comment. Nice blue back. It'll sell quick. Milledgeville, I always butcher this. Milledgeville, Georgia, 50-cent issue. Choice Hung 63, nice hand-signed piece. Corn Exchange Bank in New York. This is a contemporary counterfeit. It's a well-known contemporary counterfeit, very collectible. So, Marlborough, Massachusetts. This is the Northborough Bank, 5 cents. VF25, that's a cool piece. Here's another cool piece. Harrison Chapman, Boston, 25 cents. Remainder, Gem 65. Here's another one. This is, so we had this is the 25 cent. Here's the 5 cent, but this one's 45 PPQ. This one has been issued though, and this one has not. Serial numbers, no serial numbers. The Harris and Chapman signatures were printed on the printing plate. T20, this is probably one of the notes that got me into collecting Confederates. The CT20, the counterfeit version, was one that I like to cherry pick because the portraits are very unique and easy to spot. So that's one of the gateway notes, as I call them. James C. Knox, New York, AU53. A lot of these are inexpensive notes. You can pick them up relatively cheap. North Carolina, the state of North Carolina. This had been Civil War issue. Hung 63. Here's another James Knox, 50 cents and 63. So a lot of these won't PPQ because they have sometimes they call them pinholes, sometimes they call them a bundle hole. But these would have been in big stacks and they would have been held together with either a pin or a staple. Hydeville, Vermont, the Hydeville Company. Choice Hung 64. T18 and VF25, that's a good note. What else do we have? A post note from New Jersey. The mayor and common city council in New Jersey, VF30. Indian Head Bank, that's a cool name. Nassau, New Hampshire. VF25. If I butcher one of these names, guys, I'm sorry. I'm just a Midwest guy, so some of these Indian titles will get me a little bit. Gosport, Indiana. Citizens Bank, VF25. It's actually a really good note. It does have a printed back on it. Let's see. Lion City, Iowa. Don't remember buying this, but XF45. It's a cool vignette. And it does have contemporary annotations. It says, looks like it was presented for, and then it goes through and it has something about January 12th, 1839. When was this? That's prior to the note issuing. So I don't, must be commemorating something with their annotation. T28 Confederate. There's a couple of those. No comments. Super tough note. The T29. A lot of them are crosscut canceled and hole canceled. It's super tough to find one uncanceled. The vignette is probably what makes this the most popular type, or more popular. Also very tough to find with damage-free, comment-free. This one does say minor edge damage. There's a small edge tear and a piece missing, but it does have an obvious hole cancel, so it kind of cancels the whole thing out. Either way, very tough note. This vignette here of the man in the field picking cotton is probably what makes it popular. This is a discovery for the military endorsement Alexander Longstreet Steele, captain in AQM. I believe he was in the Alabama regiment. It is notated stains, but there's his name. Confederate. This would be a wood. So you see wood cut with written serials. This type of counterfeit, they would have actually prepped a wood block, and they would have printed these on a wood block, and then somebody would have manually filled in the serial numbers. So it's very nice VF20. Pretty easy note to sell. Some more T18s and VF25. Here's another military endorsement. This might have been the discovery. One of those was the discovery. Samuel E. Norton Jr., Captain, AQM. Minor ink stains, minor erosion. A lot of people don't understand that a lot of these inks had metal in them. So over time, that metal would oxidize, and that's what gives you ink erosion. It's very hard to combat, and it's not something you can really get away from. It's going to happen eventually. T26 and VF25, super tough type. It does have a contemporary annotation, but it looks like it says Captain A.E. Ball, maybe? So I don't know if that's really contemporary. I might have to look into that more. Here's a fare ticket from Macon, Georgia. Most all of them are punch canceled. This is for the railroad. T8 and VF25. This has been punch hole canceled, unfortunately. Still an extremely tough type. The paper is very cotton based, so they're very prone to splitting and cracking. This is a beautiful T26. Crosscut cancellations, unfortunately, VF30. It does have watermark paper. If you look, you can just see the A right there. Watermark paper. T14 50. That's a nice looking 50. No issues. T57 with punch hole cancellations, a little bit of staining. Does have a little bit of contemporary writing on it. Here's a Hoer note, T41. Military endorsement is George Caldwell, captain in AQM. That's pretty cool. I'm not a Civil War buff. It's not a big thing here in my home state. So I know just enough to get by. So there's a T65 and 58Q, great color. Wowzers. State of Mississippi Cotton Pledge and VF25. Notes are pretty common. The thing with the Cotton Pledge notes is there's a ton of varieties that people collect. So like here's a blue underprint. There's lots of different ways to collect. It's just how you want to collect. Here's something that absolutely drives me bonkers. They folded the corner when they put the note in. I don't know if you can see that or not. I will actually be sending that. I will actually send that note back to have them fix that. That looks terrible. I mean, it almost looks like they damaged the note. Don't say this is a PCGS only thing. I've had PMG notes that are like that as well. It's the dealer's job to represent the note to the best of their ability, and a note like that just doesn't look right, and it is a circulated note, and it does probably have a hard corner fold. So I will be sending that back. When mistakes like that happen, they will reholder them for free. Now, if that was an uncirculated note and that had happened, that would be a buyback because they had damaged the note at that time. Here's another Cotton Pledge. This is the $2.50 issue. The blue is outstanding. Here's one with pink tinted paper. This is the 5 Cotton Pledge series. Then we have the State of Missouri Defense Bonds. Here's a 1 in 64. A 1 in 55. This is probably a cut sheet. 1 in 55. There's a lot of defense bonds out there. The 3 is really a pretty note. Has the vignette with the woman, and I believe it's a cornucopia. As made gutter folds. Oh yeah, look at that. Look at that huge gutter fold right there in the middle of the paper. Goes all the way up through the note. That's the comment on the back. It says as made gutter fold. Bank of West Tennessee is a good note. Most all notes 1860s, late 1850s, early 1860s in Tennessee are going to be a little bit better. J.N. Bradford, New Orleans. BF25 details. It does have an old, partially repaired tape repair. The American Exchange Company in Great Britain. That's cool. It's a European note with George Washington on it. Interesting. The back of that note's pretty awesome too. 1,000 shares. Another T20. Does have a little bit of ink residue on it from being hand signed. Another T68 and 62Q. Lots of Confederate. Confederates are probably one of our top retail sellers. People like to collect them by the T number and the PF number. Some of the different varieties are pretty awesome and pretty noticeable. They stick out like a sore thumb. T14, PF30, no comment. That's a nice note. T70 with some staining, but it has contemporary annotation on the back. Somebody from Tennessee. New Hampshire Remainder in 66Q. It's got Ben Franklin on it. And the dude from the Quaker Oats box. That's a joke. Hope you're laughing. State Bank of Detroit, Michigan. Really a great note. The overprint on these just makes this note. It has an old steamer on it. Has as-made paper wrinkles. You can see them up through here. Bank of Augusta, Georgia. This is a $3 issue. Printed on, this is called printed on recycled paper. A lot of these notes, these cheaper Georgia notes, will be printed on recycled paper. Here's a cool note. Mineral Point, Wisconsin. A little bit better. I don't even, these notes have been at grading so long, I don't even remember where I got them. Little Rock, Arkansas, Treasury Warrant. This one has an as-made gutter folds right here. And we're talking about a bundle hole. That would be they would wrap wire through there to keep them together. CT20, another one. Really like CT20, or I like T20s, not CT. I like them both. I like CTs and T20s. A lot of different varieties for these also. Another no overprint. 2 is missing the small part of the corner, but that's just circulation. Part of the era. If you were 200 years old, you'd be missing a corner too, I bet. I've always thought this pink paper with the blue on it was really pretty. It's a tough series, 1862. A lot of them are like VF, XF, super tough and unk. I've had a couple AUs. T37. Richmond, VF30. Nice note. No issues. Here's another T30, Sweet Potato Dinner. T30. T36, I've also liked this note as well. The vignette of the man on the ship is quite popular. Here's another T45. As I was explaining earlier, a lot of them come in details grades because of edge issues. And that's exactly what this one has. Repaired edge tear and small holes. You look. A lot of times you find this note and it's absolutely wadded up and you can't even see the majority of the note. So there is that. Here's a counterfeit, CT18 with printed signatures. Printed signatures is usually the giveaway on large size Confederates for counterfeits. The other kind of giveaway is if you look at the portraits or the design work, it's usually missing elements. It doesn't have the sharpness of a actual printing press. This is a T28. I have a couple of these. Small stain, most likely from being in a wallet. Another T28. Here's another one of my favorite notes. T21. This one does have some spotting on it, as most of them do. They call it minor rust damage. Without a doubt, a super tough note, problem free, and anything XF or better. I think AUs are well into the $1,000 range. Heavily counterfeited also. Another T26 and VF30. Good looking note. I have no clue where I got all the. I mean, there's some great issues in here. A little bit of wallet staining on this T26. Another T26. T24, even tougher. This orange always just makes it pop. CT25. This one also has printed signatures. If you notice the portrait, I don't know if I can compare it to another issue, but if you look at the portrait, it's kind of a giveaway. It lacks, like I was saying, it lacks the detail that's required. You know, and this guy over here has got like smiley face. You know, I always say they look like clowns. They kind of have a clown appearance to them. But usually that's the giveaway. They lack design element. Have I ever, here's a question a lot of people ask, have I ever gotten a counterfeit back in a regular holder that was not, I've had them go both ways. I've had them call counterfeits non-counterfeits, and I've had them call non-counter, I've had it go both ways. I've had them call counterfeits not counterfeits, and non-counterfeits counterfeits. So I've had it go. A lot of times on some of the really well-made counterfeits, it's hard to tell, and you have to kind of go through auction archives and look at a variety of notes and serial numbers and plate positions and kind of make your case. So another Wisconsin note. Here's a rough Nebraska Fontenelle Bank note. It's a little bit better issue. This is Bellevue, Nebraska. This was a rough note. Here's another really rough note. This is the Bank of Florence, Nebraska. I got these out of a deal. The notes came to me. There was probably 300 or 400 obsolete notes that had been stored terribly in a stack that was in basically a paper bag. And a lot of the notes were deteriorating and almost non-existent. Most all of them were Midwest notes, but these Nebraska notes, since we were from Nebraska, I dug out of there and I straightened them out and got them to lay flat again and sent them to grading, kind of preserve them. A couple of these are better, and a couple of them are just more common. The Bank of Tacoma and this bank prior to the Wabi Bank are both more common notes for the state. They're not, however, they're not remainders. They are issued and circulated. This is probably one of the better conditioned ones out of the group, being Fine 15. But the Fontenelle banks are definitely much better types for the state. There's not a lot of hole punch canceled notes for the state either, so that's also a unique thing. The signature is still intact, issued in 1856. Most Nebraska notes issued prior to 1857 are going to be better issues. Here's a Wabi with a good chunk of the note is just gone. People ask me why I would grade this. This is just more preservation, and believe it or not, there's people that collect all types and grades of notes. This isn't an expensive adventure. This is just because I'm just preserving it for the time being. But you can see here, I remember the deal like it was yesterday. A lot of those Wisconsin notes that you seen in this deal, that's where they came from. Now that I'm actually kind of seeing some of these notes, I'm remembering. Here's a absolute terrible repair on this. This is actually a great note too. This Fontenelle Bank of Bellevue. They're missing the top right corner, but somewhere they had a bottom left corner, and that's just what they did. Piece added, repaired, cancellations, and reconstruction. You can see it there. You can't see it here so much, but here you can. Just cheap notes. Omaha City Bank and Land Company. Again, this is a common note and remainder, but this one's actually went out and it is hand signed. At one point, it would have had a serial number, but just kind of cool stuff. And here's one that I've never seen on a Nebraska note, but Broken Bank across Wabi Bank, or Wabi from DeSoto. I've never seen this stamp on a Nebraska before, so I will probably actually be saving this for my personal collection. Broken Bank, Suffolk Bank, WG, wherever that is. Might have to do some research, but yeah, I've never seen that on a. I've seen this stamp before on East Coast banks, but never Nebraska. So that note really had to work hard to get this, that far. I do have a pretty cool obsolete piece on the state of Nebraska. The note was passed off in, I believe, 1860 in Indiana, and this gentleman received the note as a payment, and his friend that was with him, they documented them getting the note, and they basically wrote a letter that says, this note is a giant piece of crap and has zero value, and he took it in on a debt, and the letter and the note stayed together all this time. So that's pretty cool. It's not something you see all the time. This is another bulk order. Sometimes they use this tapes as coin inside. There's definitely no coin inside. It's just paper money. I've had coins come back in the package with notes, but I've never had a coin come in the box with the notes. So usually coins are put in a little bit different box than paper money. We send both coins and currency to be graded. There's no way I could ever make a video for every coin that we have graded. It would be entirely impossible. I don't have enough time. We probably grade 4,000 to 5,000 coins a month. I just don't. All I would do is be making videos. I make these videos more of like educational purposes, help show people what's out there, talk a little bit more about rarity, entry collector stuff. Just like this note here. Here's just a nice 1173 and VF30, just a nice collectible gold certificate, nice gold, bright white paper. I think this note retails right now for about $380. So, and here's a VF25, same series. Another VF30, 1173. A lot of people, like this guy, this gentleman here, his name's Michael Hillegas. If you look on the note, it actually says Michael Hillegas. He was the first treasurer of the United States, so that's why he's on the gold certificate. And here's the father of our country, George Washington, on 1187. Orange, I just absolutely love the orange on gold certificates. Here's a unique note, often seen as remainders, very few seen as circulated notes. But this would be from Bishop's General Storehouse in Salt Lake City, Utah. This would have been part of the Mormon Church or Church of Latter-day Saints usage. Very popular note for collectors. Plymouth, Indiana. Nice circulated note. Oh, that's cool. 1814. Lawrence Original Fringe and Worsted Yarn Warehouse. Choice hung 63. 50 cents. That's cool. Savannah, Georgia. 1814 railway ticket. I think they got the date wrong. I think that should be 74, not 14. It's my guess. We'll have to. So it's very rare that you find an issue with either with a note or with a description of the note. So this is a post note for railroad. Edge splits, stained. Tiffany commission script, Ravenna, Ohio. It's up by Cincinnati, I believe. Writing in pencil, minor stains, shows, might have said who owned the note. I can't, it looks like Ruth Nichols. That's my guess. Post note from Cleveland, Ohio. College currency. This one's from Baltimore, Maryland. Eaton and Burnett's College Bank. It's a good looking note. A lot of these are minor stain. They weren't. They were used to teach people how to count and use cash registers and whatnot. Here's one of my all-time favorite notes. Very scarce. You don't see it very often, but St. Louis, Missouri advertising note. This is the North Missouri Railroad. It shows you from St. Louis all the way to St. Joseph. So it's pretty cool. Pretty cool note. It actually mentions Omaha, Nebraska. So my hometown had what's called the Grand Island and St. Joe branch. So it would actually brought you down to St. Joe, and then you would have got onto this to take you to St. Louis. So that's pretty cool. This note was damaged when I got it, but it's serial number 63, Henry Mayer Furniture Dealer. This is a advertising piece. A lot of paper pulls. Here's a scarce note. Atlanta Mule 50. Popular FRBN Dallas 20. Circulated. Nice VF. Kansas City and VF 35. Just has a real nice fresh look. Look at the embossing. You can see the J. It's pretty deep. 1934 B St. Louis and AU58. Smidge of paper toning up here on the corner, but it is what it is. Still a very scarce issue. The all-time favorite, which would be the numerical seal. This is San Francisco 100, so popular note. Circulated, PF35. 28B Richmond and 64. I have no clue why there's no Q on here. I don't see any pinholes or anything. No idea. Oh, it's got a smidge of toning right here on the corner. It's a $500 advertising note, replica note on Trenton, New Jersey. That'll sell quick. 28A silver cert and 65Q funny bag. Very common. Little run of these that looks like they got graded. Wichita, Kansas. Can't say I've owned a lot of Wichita notes. 53A star note and 65Q. Oh, there's a couple of those. There's another one. Another $50 FRBN and 35. Here's one in 66. That's pretty awesome. Here's another one in 66. So a lot of people ask what makes the note a 66 or 64. And at this level, it comes down to margins. You see how this is paper thin at the bottom and this one's thicker? It all has to do with the centering of the note. And then when you go above gem grade, the back centering has to also register with the face centering. So you can see 64, 66. So That's kind of a quick explanation without being super technical. Wood chopper in VF25 with the public engraving error. Silver cert in VF30. Ooh, an 891B, a little bit better FR. VF30. Another 236 at VF30. 2400, which is a gold, BA block, so better block. I didn't see any BA blocks in my last. Okay, that's just the film. But here's 2 BA blocks, both of VF25. Very short-lived block for $10 silver certs. I don't know the market. I'm going to guess, but I'm going to guess like probably $300 or $350 a piece. This one does have a notation for minor edge damage, which looks like there was a paper clip right there, which just scraped the top of it. And it is have a little corner wear. The selvage of the note was put around the note for wear purposes. So when you see minor edge splits or tears or rounded corners, that means that note circulated, that it did exactly as intended. That selvage is there to protect the design element, similar to like a rim on a coin. It's there to protect the coin from being damaged at all. Fractional and VF35. It's a good looking note for a Lincoln. Spinner in 63Q. It's a great note. It's one of my favorites. I actually, in this series, they have a hand-signed version. That's probably one of my all-time favorites. 1918 FRBN Philadelphia VF30. Spread eagle or green eagle. Here's a DeSoto, Nebraska non-remainder 62Q. So that's a great piece. It's got the green protector on it. Pick 16B straight settlement VF25 tiger head watermark. You can see it right there. Great note. Another one of my favorites, Justice in 63Q. Great piece. I actually don't own a Justice in my personal collection. 228 and VF30. T13, another one of my favorite notes. Super hard to find these with white paper. Most all of them have a smidge of toning. This one's actually has really nice paper for the type. I don't know why, but a lot of them are brown bag looking. Here is a non-canceled T29, problem free. So we'll be pricing this pretty strong. In 5 years, I think this might be the second or third one I've ever had. Really, really, really pretty note. Adrian, Michigan, 1853. One of my favorite vignettes ever. Bank of Washtenaw, Michigan, Ann Arbor. Popular note with collectors. Another funny back in 65Q. A funny back at 58Q. Here is a Hawaii in 63Q. Great note. Here's a Hawaii in 58 flat. Most likely has some, yeah, it has a hard corner right here. So 34 silver certificate in 64Q. Great note. Another 34 silver cert. This is the mule. Sometimes I make mistakes. I gotta make sure the serial numbers aren't, because you have non-mule, mule. 1704, which is a 34C, and AU55. Looks very original. I'll have to look at that one with the light. 34A, BA block, 64Q. Nice looking note. New York. $64Q. National Bank note. First National. The Chase National, I think, is more commonly seen in Unk. FRBN Chicago 55Qs. There is a little sequential run of them. I'm just going to be frank about these notes. I remember them very well. They have a hard teller marks right here. So that's most likely why they're 55Qs. They were just very handily. I would call that the most uncirculated AU55 probably on the market. Here's a 28A St. Louis, light green seal in 63Q. And another one in 63Q. Kind of fun serial numbers. Huge short snorter Hawaii, covered in signatures. These are, if you see these in my videos, they're NFS. So NFS means not for sale. Most all of these have a location on them of some sort or type. Here's another short snorter. It is missing a corner, but however, it says September 12th, 1942, and it's got all the names on it. So Delaware Colonial VF35. It was previously mounted, unfortunately. A lot of these colonials are going to have issues, so a lot of them are going to be previously mounted or had glue all over them. Here's a PA 163. Nice problem-free note. Another PA 163. This one is previously mounted. Still has a good look. Delaware, one of the most underrated. Previously mounted, man. Tough to tell. A little bit of right there. Delaware as a whole for colonials is extremely tough. Maryland Colonial, previously mounted, some edge damage. It's just, to me, it blows my mind that these still exist, that they've, you know, severed and reattached. A little bit of archival tape. If you have a note that's severed and reattached, or severed and you want to reattach it, they make this is acid-free archival tape. It could be on there 300 years. It's never going to hurt the note. The tape that you get in the little dispenser like this, that's you use for Christmas gifts and such, is absolutely horrible to put on paper currency, and it will destroy the paper over time. So if you are going to you know, put something back together, archival tape works wonders. It's like a little run of, I bought these from a dealer. He said they were all uncirculated. I said they're not. I said they were all AU. He said I didn't know what I was talking about. I paid him and cut the cord. I handle paper money every day, and I know AU from CU. And unfortunately, a lot of people sell things and they don't allow return. So I was stuck with those notes. It's unfair, but that's part of the game. So just 1953 legal tenders and Unk. Looks like some choice and some gems. Just nice budget-friendly notes. You know, a note like this is nice enough to to give your kids or grandkids or a friend. Try to get them bit by the bug. LA block. If only this was a 1600 instead of a 1601. It's just a little bit paper toned. If I remember right, it's got a hard corner as well. It does. Hard corner right there. KA block, 28A, 63Q. Ooh, T1450. AU53. That's a good looking note. John Boston, military endorsement. (1862) John Boston. One of the more common military endorsements. Here's a 226. Super scarce. The date is above the serial number. This note will sell instantly. One of the toughest Friedbergs to get in anything above VF20. There's a T67 and VF25. Another T67 and VF35. Another 67 and VF25. This note's often seen, I believe, as uncirculated. And as a remainder. So here's one that's circulated. That's not a remainder. Edge damage. They almost all have annotations on the back on the circulated issues. And the selvage on these actually starts right here. So yes, the selvage is torn, but I don't know if that's enough to warrant the... had somebody taken a pair of scissors and cut that off, it still would have been the same note, but it is what it is. The selvage is there and retained. MPC and 67Q. Another MPC and 66Q. MPC and 67Q. North African AU55. And then a Covington, Kentucky 50 and Choice Fine 15. You don't see a lot of $50 notes on Kentucky, so that's pretty cool. All in all, that's what I have to show today. I'm going to get this put back up. I have so many notes to keep pricing. Plus, I'm going to be gone next week. Again, I still have more orders coming back from grading. So there's kind of a really big push right now to try to get customers' notes returned to them. And get some of our wholesale stuff done and shipped out to customers. So if you watch our store, you'll see a lot of these notes start popping up. Unfortunately, I am selling them as fast as I'm listing them. I'm selling about 8 to 10 notes a day, and between wholesale and listing, I'm probably only putting up about 30 new notes a day. So like I said, they're going to go quick once people start seeing stuff pop up. Thank you for your time. Like, subscribe, shoot me a message, ask questions. Don't be bashful. Hope all is well, and I'll see you on the next one.